You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, B&B fans, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt, and I want to talk about Thomas Forrester working overtime to get that engagement ring on Hope Logan's finger. It is clear he wants it there, but I just wonder how far he will go to make it happen. Is there any chance that Thomas will backslide into his former devious habits and play dirty to get her to agree to marry him? Hey, if you haven't already, please click subscribe. And now let's dig in and talk about what Thomas can do to get that diamond off the chain and onto Hope's finger on the CBS soap opera. Now, you know, if this were years ago, Thomas would already be weaponizing Douglas Forrester and having the kid badger Hope relentlessly about when is she going to put the ring on her finger? You know, can he walk her down the aisle, be the ring bearer, and just pressure. Anything that Thomas could do to get Douglas to push her into saying yes. That's what he would have done years ago. To his credit, currently, we haven't seen Thomas do that. He has mentioned in passing that Douglas would love it if they were together, but I mean, Hope already knows that. But he is not leveraging the kid like he had done years ago. If you remember years ago, the extremes Thomas Forrester went to get Hope to marry him. He even staged that whole fake romance and wedding with Zoe Buckingham to try and get Hope to be Mrs. Forrester instead. It is very clear that this is what he wants more than almost anything in the world. However, I have to give Thomas a little credit for being pretty patient with Hope. He's still, keeping the pressure up, but he hasn't done anything crazy. I think at this point, Thomas has proposed to her 3 or 4 times over the past couple of months. Of course, there was the first time when he gave her the ring, and then a couple of times since then where he lobbied for her to move it from the necklace to her finger and just say yes and agree to marry him. But Hope right now is standing firm and saying she's just not there yet, and she still hasn't said that she loves him. What she has said is that she loves the way that he loves her, which that's not saying I love you, but she has made it clear that her heart is in this relationship, even if she's not saying the big L word yet. I do think that this started more with Hope exploring basically an intense sexual fantasy that had been tormenting her for months before she finally kissed Thomas and found out, if the fantasy was as good as reality. Either the sex is so great that she can't stop thinking about it, or it finally has turned into affection and not just a booty call. So this week on Bold and the Beautiful, Hope Logan, actually the most recent week, she was saying to Thomas that all this talk about romance was making her think about the ring on her necklace. I will say, I thought that was kind of creepy because of the context that happened. All that talk that she was saying was romantic was about her and Thomas's shared little brother telling them about popping his girlfriend's V card. It was actually really disturbing because RJ should not have been telling anyone about Luna's virginity. That was her business, not his. Also, gentlemen should not kiss and tell, and he was really telling, and especially when it's somebody who was having their first sexual experience, And of course, RJ is telling this to 2 siblings who are themselves sleeping together, 2 of his siblings. So it's just a 3-ring circus of ick to me over on Bold. And it's things like that that make me want to remind people who come at me in the comments saying, oh, Bold would never have Finn get in his Aunt Poppy bed and get her pregnant. Yeah, they would. 100%. And it seems like this RJ and Thomas and Hope thing that just reiterated all that to me, right? As long as the people involved don't share a biological parent, aren't actual blood related, honestly, I haven't seen any line that Bold and the Beautiful wouldn't cross. So given that Hope is talking about putting the ring on her finger, I feel like it might actually happen by the end of February sweeps. But if it doesn't, will Thomas start going overboard to push his marriage agenda and try and move Hope closer to the goal line where he wants her? One really sneaky thing Thomas could do to get Hope to agree to marry him is get her pregnant. So I am assuming Hope is on birth control, although she got really mad when Liam Spencer asked her about it a couple of months ago. She said years ago she didn't want to have another child because she didn't want to risk another baby loss. That was when she thought little Beth was dead. And she told Liam that day, a couple of months ago, that she was open to the idea of having other children, but not with him, which I thought was very funny. Right now, though, I assume Hope is being diligent with her birth control. However, if Thomas wanted to give her one more reason to put the ring on her finger, he could mess with whatever form of protection she's using. If it's birth control pills, they sell fake ones, sugar pills that you can swap them out with. If it's a diaphragm, he could poke holes in it. If it's condoms, he could poke holes in those. I don't know what he would do if she had an IUD. That seems to be insurmountable. But I do know that Thomas would be thrilled if Hope turned up pregnant with his child, and it might get her to say yes to marrying him. And on the plus side, it would give Brooke an aneurysm, and that'd be interesting. So looking back at some of Thomas's past sketchy antics, we could certainly see him gaslighting Hope, faking his own death, making some sort of phone call pretending to be Brooke Logan, or any of the other extreme antics that he's engaged in the past. However, I really feel like Thomas has turned a corner and won't engage in any of these dubious deeds, but I also think he's going to keep pestering Hope until she says yes or has had enough of it and just breaks up with him. If that happens, Thomas could always walk down the aisle with the Hope mannequin, right? He could pull that out of storage. I bet that wedding dress he designed for Hope would fit the doll. All right, I am kidding. Hey, if you've never seen the movie Lars and the Real Girl, I highly recommend it. It stars Ryan Gosling as a guy who is in a relationship with a doll, kind of like a Hope mannequin. It sounds weird, but it is a really good movie, and it's all I could think of whenever they were doing that Hope mannequin storyline stuff. So yeah, Lars and the Real Girl, check it out. All right, drop your comments. Let me know what you think Thomas might do to get Hope to go ahead and say yes to him and put that ring on her finger. And be sure and click subscribe if you haven't already. And stop back by soon, because we are here talking Bold and the Beautiful 7 days a week. And as always, I'm your host, Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.